Okay, so in the last class, we talked about how to import the file. We already created the database, saved it. And today we're going to talk about how can we add records in our table, also how to build the report. So first of all, it says save a screenshot showing the field names and data types used. Print a copy of the screenshot. Make sure that your name, center number, candidate number are included in the printout. This is where you have to show your data structure. Data structure includes the name of the table, the field names, and their data types. So if you are to place a screenshot to show your data structure, you're just going to open up your table, go on to your design view, and take a screenshot of this portion only, not the whole screen, but only this, which has the table name, the field names, and the data types. So for instance, if this is your evidence document, you're going to place your data structure like this. You have to show the examiner the table name, the field names that you have specified, and the field data types that you have set for each field. Now coming to inserting records or removing records. In the exam, it says insert the following 3 records. You're given the field names and you are to enter these records into your table. So we will open up our table, go to our data sheet and scroll down to the very bottom. Over here, we are going to add data. So first is Airush. Under make, model is flow, size is 15.0, price is 898.95, skill level is beginner, this is low, kite surf, number is 2, stock item is yes. Adding the second record, I'll pause here because there's an important thing that I want to discuss. For example, while you are entering a record into your table, you all of a sudden realize that you had to change a few settings in the design view. You are entering the record, you are in the middle of it, and you recall that you missed out a few settings which were to be done in the design view or the advanced settings. Now, without completing the record entry, you straight away go into your design view like this. For example, over here you made your settings, you change a few settings that you forgot to do, and then you come back to your data sheet and then scroll down to the very bottom where you were entering data. And you realize that the record that you were adding is somewhere sorted within the data file. So keep this thing in mind that whenever you are entering records, do not ever change your view because your record will get sorted within the data and be very hard for you to find where that record is. In this particular example, I think it will be listed at the very top. So now you can complete finishing up entering the record. It may have been sorted within the data somewhere. So it becomes difficult to find that data or record. So make sure that when you are entering record, do not change your view. Do not go from data sheet to your design view. Finishing up the record. So this is beginner. This is done. Now the last record we are to add, we are going to go at the bottom wherever we get to see the star. So that means we can add another record here. Once you're done with adding records, it says check your data entry for errors. Now this is a visual check. You just have to match the case sensitivity. Make sure the letters which are in capital letters, they are supposed to be in capital. And your data entry does not have any errors. So if there are, fix them. Next, it says produce a report which shows all the fields from all the data, and in the bullet points, you are to do all these steps in order to build your report. Now, this is another object that you are going to create in your database, which is a report. And for the report, you are to build another object, which is a query. So we already have a table. We're going to build a query, and then we're going to build the report. What is a report? It is basically an extraction from your original table or your master file or your master table and getting only the desired records displayed in a particular format, in a report format. Do we all get this? In order to build the report, it's a two-step process. One is the design phase, or let's say the physical layout of the report, and two is the criteria or where you apply your conditions. The report has two steps: design bit and the condition bit. You are to set the conditions first and you will set the design later. So it's a sequence that you have to follow. Also consider the workflow that I'm using so that there are no errors in your report. So first of all, whenever you get to see that you need to produce a report, you first of all need to click on, let's close the object of the table. You have to go on to create and then click on query design. Not query wizard, but query design. That's the manual way of building up the query. So you will have more control over the settings. So you click on query design and the view will change to the runtime environment. Runtime environment means that you will apply your conditions and you can view the results or the outcome of your conditions whenever you apply the criteria. So the display changes, the interface changes. We have the property sheet on the right side. We also have an option to add tables. For example, if they are not visible and the screen is like this, you can add the tables. From where can you add them? Under the query design, you will find the query setup in which you have the add tables. So if you click on it, a panel will open up from the right hand side. This is on Microsoft Office 2024. that the panel will open up on the right hand side, and it will list all the tables or the queries that you have. So we don't have anything else other than a table, so we are just going to double click on our table. Once you double click on it, it will be displayed over here. So it's the kites table, and these are the fields which are included in this table. At the bottom, you have the settings part, the conditions where you can set. It has a field row, it has a table row, sort, show, criteria, or. It's a row setup in a sequence with field, table, sort, show, criteria, or. Now in our report, we are to add all the fields. Right now, we just added the table. However, this is not a part of our query as yet. So in order to have them displayed, we need to double click on each of the field so that they start appearing in the bottom section. So we double click on make, model, then we have size, price, skill level, win condition, used, number, stock item. And if you look at it, this is how it is basically displayed. So each field is occupying one column over here. In the first row, you can see that they are displaying the field names. In the second row, it is showing you that this field is basically taken from which table. So the table name is appearing over here. Under sort, we can sort that particular field into ascending or descending order. You have the setting for each of the fields. Then we have the show checkbox. If it is checked, that means this field is going to be displayed. If it is not checked, that means this field is not going to be visible. It won't be visible. Then the criteria where you're going to put in your conditions. Okay. So this was the interface. It says it should contain a new field called value, which is calculated at runtime. We are already in what? Runtime. This field will calculate the price multiplied by the number in stock. If you look closely, price and number are appearing in italics. That means they are indicated by the examiner that these are two fields. When we multiply these two fields, or the records of these two fields, or the data of these two fields, whatever the answer would come, we are to name that particular field as what? Value. So that's the whole requirement. Okay. In order to do this, very simple. In front of the field, we are going to come at a blank column and we are going to type our operation, nothing else. Just type in your operation. The operation is that the price is multiplied by the number. So we'll type in price multiplied by number. We just apply the operation. After writing down the expression or the operation, we are just going to hit enter. When we hit enter, you notice that the price is enclosed in square brackets and the number is also enclosed in square brackets. That means the price is a field, number is also a field. So we get to know that in Access, if we are to refer to a particular field, it needs to be enclosed in square brackets. Do we all get this? And then there is some other syntax being added. It says expr1 colon. First of all, let's see what the impact is on our data. In order to execute this, in order to run this, in order to view the results, at the very top, under the query design, you will have run. So if I click on run, it will give me a similar view as of my table. However, this was a table. Look at the icon. And this is a query. Query is basically a table from within a table, which is why the icon is shaped like this. So you're basically extracting data from a given data. We're extracting data from our given table, which is kites. At the end, you will notice that there is another column being added, which is labeled as expr1. And what value do we get in this column? It is the value which we get by multiplying price by number. It's displayed 0. Why? Because the price is 219.95. The number is what? 0. So when you multiply anything with 0, the answer is 0. If we scroll down, you have values here. So that means the price is 234.95 multiplied by the number, which is 1. That's the number itself. So the operation is working. The only thing that is not correct is basically the name of the field. So we head back to our design view. Query also has 3 views. Table had what? 2 views. One was data sheet, one was the design view. Query has 3 views. One is the data sheet, one is the SQL, which is a structured query language, and then we have the design view. So let's head over to our design view because that will offer us the advanced settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to change expr1 and name this as value. Please note that I only deleted expr1. I did not delete the colon. Do we all get this? Now if you click on run, you can see the last column is labeled as value, and the operation is that it is multiplying price with number. So this point is done. Second point says, has the value field set as currency with 2 decimal places? If I ask you a question, 200 multiplied with 10 grams, the answer is 200 multiplied by 10 grams. 2000 क्या हो गया? 200 multiplied by 10 grams. 2000 grams. The point what I'm trying to make is that the unit of measurement was being what? Carried forward. If it is 200 into 10 kg, that will be 2000 kg. For the value field, what did we do? We multiplied price with number. Price is in what? Euros or pounds or dollars, whatever. So when that multiplies with number, the unit of measurement will be carried forward. Over here it says, has the value field set as what? Currency with 2 decimal places. We already multiplied currency with a number. So technically, the unit of measurement should carry forward. Look at our data. Value is appearing in what? Pounds with 2 decimal places. Why? Because the price is in pounds and 2 decimal places. So do we have to set the value in currency with 2 decimal places?
No.
No. For an example, consider that this was not done. If the settings were not applied, then what do? You will come back to your design view. In the value column, it's important, in the value column, you will right click and click on properties. This will open up the property sheet on the right hand side. You can right click and click on properties, or just click in the value column, and at the top you will get to see property sheet. Now the format needs to be what? The value needs to be currency and the decimal needs to be 2 places. Got this? In order to view the changes, you need to click on run. They were already appearing in pounds with 2 decimal places, so there is no difference actually in the actual data. Okay, so now we can close the property sheet because we are done with it. Next point. Show only the records where the skill level is beginner. So this is a condition that we have to apply onto a field called skill level. Skill level needs to be beginner. If I click on run and we look closely at skill level, we have intermediate, we have experienced, we have beginner. We only want to view the records where the skill level is what? Beginner. The rest of the records are not required. So what we'll do is we come back to our design view, because here we can do the settings under skill level and in front of the criteria. That's the condition. Condition is that I want to see beginner. This is how you apply the condition. You click on run to view your changes. Now can you see the skill level appearing as beginner? There's no intermediate, there's no experience. Got this? Come back, design view. Next point. Show all the fields and their labels in full. Now this is something which is related to the physical appearance of the report, which I told you is to be done later in the step 2. Fits on a single page wide, related to the physical appearance, will be done in step 2. Orientation of landscape, again physical appearance, will be done later on. Sort the data into ascending order of make with airbrush at the top. So this is an indication. They have given you a hint that you need to sort the data into ascending order of make. Sorting is something that we can do in the query. So we can do this. Come to our design view, make, sort, drop it down, select ascending. And it says that when you sort, error should be at the top. So we click on run and you can see that the error is appearing at the top. So this is also done. Come back to design view. Let's look at the next step. Calculates the total value of these kites. Show this total value at the bottom of the value column. Format the total value to currency with 2 decimal places. Has the label current value stock for the total value. Include the heading kites for beginners at the top of the page. Has your name, center number, candidate number on the left in the footer. All these points are going to be done later. If you are to find a total of a particular column, if you are to take an average of a particular column, if you are to take out the maximum value of a particular column, if you are to specify a minimum value of a particular column, all of these settings are going to be dealt later on in step number 2 after you build your report. In the query, you cannot do it. In the query, it is only showing you the data sheet in which you have records. You cannot make a total of the record and display it at the bottom of the column. Do you get this? Okay. So since we are done with the query, now this is very important for A-level perspective. Try to make it a habit that whenever you are to save your query, it is saved by the name of your report, which is what? Kites for beginners. There's a logic behind it. Just make it a habit that whenever you are to save the query, you will save it by the title of your report or whatever object that you are going to make. So coming back, we will close it. It asks me to save changes. I will click on yes. By default, it is suggesting me that I should save it by the name query1. That is not recommended. I do not recommend this. Always save it by the name of the object. Kites for beginners. And then we click on OK. So step 1 is complete. We are done with the query. We're done with the conditions applied. On the left hand side, you will see that there's another object added. This object is named as Kites for beginners. It is labeled under what? Queries. Now my database has one table and one query. There are two objects. Based on this query, I have to build my report. Do I have to build my report based on my table? No, it is to be based on my query. So I will select my query. I will go to create, and now in the report section, I will click on report wizard. So this will guide me through a series of steps to build my report. The very first thing that I need to set is that what are the fields I'm going to use to make my report. Those fields are basically where? In my query. So make sure that your query is selected. If you drop this list down, you will also get to see your table. My report is not based on my table, it is based on my query. So I will select my query. Then these are the available fields in my query. I need to select the fields which I want. So I will select, either I can select one by one like this, or I can select all of them by clicking on this icon. Table is your master data. Query is basically without tempering your master data, you're extracting data from the table. Rather than deleting data from your master file, it is advised that you build your query first, and based on your query, you're going to make your report. Once all the fields are selected, we click on next. Grouping, we are not going to deal with grouping as of now. So you are going to skip this part, or let's say keep this as it is. Whatever you get to see, you just click on next. Over here, the axis is asking you whether you want to sort a particular field into ascending or descending. We have already done that in our query, so it does not make sense to do it again. However, if you are to do it, or let's say if you forgot to do it in your query, you can still do up to 4 fields into ascending or descending. So if I select make, it will be sorted in ascending order. If I want it to be descending, I just need to click on this button. It will change the sorting order. If you have done it in query, then you don't have to do it. If you have done it in the query, you want to do it here as well. Even then, it does not make any difference. The point is, the more important point is that you have to do it once at least, either in the query or over in the process. So I will just select none. Then we are going to click on next. A couple of settings which are to be done here. Layout, by default, it's tabular. Access automatically detects how your table or your data can be displayed at its best. So it is suggesting that you should go with tabular format. Tabular format has the field names at the top, records under it. Orientation. Examiner asked us the orientation needs to be landscape, so we select landscape. Also, the examiner said that the page or the report should fit on one single page. So for that, this option is already checked. Adjust the field width so all fields fit on a page. Yes, we want that. Click on next. What title do you want for your report? Now, since the query was saved by the title of my report, it automatically has the title typed over here. So we don't have to do it. Last of all, preview the report. If you click on finish, it will give you the preview of how your report will look like. Click on finish and your print preview is generated. This is how your report layout looks like. Now, we have done fit on a single page wide. We have done the orientation as landscape. It says show all the fields and the labels in full. That means they should all be fully visible. Nothing should be hidden. Data should be properly visible. So when you generate your report, notice at this end, the field names are not properly typed out. There's not enough space. Your data is not visible. It's appearing as hashtags. So that means again, there's very little space to display this data. So you need to make space. You need to reposition some of the columns. For that, you're going to close the print preview and straight away in the report design, the very first button that you see is view. In the report, you have four kinds of views: the report view, the print preview, the layout view, and the design view. Design view for the advanced settings, layout view, how it will look on the paper, print preview, how will it look when you print it, and report view is just simply going to be your report. So in order to reposition everything, we need to go to layout. Over here you can see I can make selection of my field and I can also select my records or the data underneath. If I want to select the whole column, I will have to first select my field, hold down the control button on my keyboard and click on any of the record below it. So that will select the whole column, including the field and the data. You can resize this and you can reposition this by using the arrow keys on your keyboard. You can move it around. So now I'm going to fix the order so that the data is evenly balanced out throughout the page and it's fully visible. This process will take a couple of minutes to finish. So you make sure that you do it carefully. Make sure that you use only the arrow keys on your keyboard when you are trying to reposition your data items. So all set, all the values and their labels are fully visible, which means we have done this part as well. Now, there was a point, calculate the total value of these kites and show this value at the bottom of the value column. That means we have to make a total of our value column. We have to add all of these. In order to do this, we are just going to select the data. In our report layout design, we have a drop down menu of totals. So we can add, we can take an average, we can count records, count values, maximum, minimum, standard deviation and variance. Standard deviation and variance are beyond the scope of your study. You won't be using these options. The only thing that we need to do is add. So when we click on sum, it will make a total of this column and place it at the bottom of this column by default. It's appearing as hashtag because it is not fully visible. And there's little space to display this data, so we are going to resize this. Do we get this? Okay. Next up, this is done. Format the total value to currency with 2 decimal places. It's already appearing as currency with 2 decimal places. And if it doesn't, what do? We right click, we click on properties, activate the property sheet, and under format we set it to currency, under decimal places we set it to 2. Pretty easy. This part was already done. Has the label current value of stock for the total value. That means that we need to have a label right next to it. In order to do this, we are to head over to our design view of our report. Please note, these are the advanced settings for your report. We have the report header, which is actually the top of your report. We also have a page header, which is actually not the top of your report. It is the top of your page. The detail section is where your records are. Page footer at the end of your page. Report footer at the end of your report. If I add anything in the page header or page footer, if I add anything in the page header or the page footer, it will appear on all pages of my report. Do you get this? If you add something in your report footer, that means that content will appear at the end of your report. If your report is of 5 pages, whatever you add in the report footer will appear on the last page at the end of the report. Page footer on all pages. Report footer at the end of the report. Do you get this? Yes. Wherever the report is ending, that is where the report footer will appear. Okay. Page footer. All pages. Report footer, last page or where the report is ending. Whether it ends on the second page, third page, 100th page, does not matter. Sorry? वही बताते. Page header, it appears on the top of every page. If you have 10 pages, if I add something on the page header section, it will appear on all 10 pages. Report header, it will be appearing at the top of my report. Not the first page. Yeah, technically first page, but yes, it is at the top of my report. What's the detail section? The mid part of your paper, where the records are going to be displayed. That's what the detail section is. Now, if you note, in the page header, you have the make, model, size, price, skill level, win condition. These are what? These are labels. Headings. Detail. It says make. This is basically showing you the record. not the label. Records of what? Make field. We are to add a label next to the total that we made. If you look closely, you get to see the sum function. This is where the total is basically made. You have the value column data, and then the total. So the label needs to be placed right next to this. For that, you will go to your report design. Under control section, you have labels. Most of the students, they make a mistake over here. They click on this, which is a text box. It's not a label box. So click on the label box and draw a label right next to it. It says current value of stock. Now let's say I added this and it appears like this. Like this. You should not be doing anything over here. If you are to reposition anything, you go to your layout view. Come to your layout view, scroll down, select this and use your arrow keys to place it. Got this? Now what? Sorry? Why not there? Okay. You can reposition, that's not a problem. But over here, you also get to occupy space by accident. So for instance, if I click on this and I move it around here, apparently this is not a section of my report. But when I place it, it automatically added extra space here. In the layout, you will not be able to add extra space to your report. So by accident, your report was supposed to be of 2 pages. By doing this, it's going on number 3. It's occupying 3 pages. So that may be a deduction of 1 mark. Why should you lose 1 mark? We will talk about shifting or moving of fields and data when we get to the custom report. Then we are going to do it here. But still in that scenario, we are going to make the final look in the layout view and not the design view. Are we clear on this? Okay. So the label is also set. If I want to view how many pages my report has, okay, for that, report design, print preview. How many pages? It says page 101. It's listed over here as well. Page 1. There are no more controls. I cannot go on to any other page. My whole report is appearing on 1 page. Close the print preview. Okay. Condition देखें. Has your name, center number, candidate number on the left in the footer. Left in the footer. How many types of footers we have? 2. One is page footer. One is report footer. The examiner did not specify where to put our name. How many pages of our report? 1. In Cambridge, you don't get to have the reports given to you if they don't have your name on it. Consider that your report is of 5 pages. Your name should appear on all 5 pages. Where do you put your name? Page footer. This report has only 1 page. So regardless whether you have your name or not, in the page footer or the report footer, you will have your name on that page, and that's only 1. So in this particular case, it's a choice. What is it? It's a choice. You can select wherever you want to put your name. I'm going to add two different footers. Look, in my design view, this is report footer. I will click on the label, draw a label box, add my credentials. Where will this be? At the end of the report. So end of the report. All right. And I will add another set of credentials just to see how they are placed in the page footer in the left on the left hand side. On the page footer, I've got two contents already added by default by Axis.
Yeah, end of report.
End of page. This is no. Now page footer, I will select this, I will delete it. I will go to my label, I'll add another label. So let's say these are my credentials. This will be appearing at the end of the page. If I have to reposition them, where do I go? Page layout or the report layout. If I have to view how will it be printed, where do I go? Print preview. So I'll change the view to print preview. Now look at this. This is the end of the report. This is the end of page. You got this? Wherever the report is ending, it will have your credentials. Wherever the page is ending, it will have your credentials. That's the end of the page. So this was the process of building your report. We'll talk about it when we talk about text boxes. Yes. 15 minutes. Go through the lecture. I will be uploading this. If there are any questions, do let me know. Right? And practice this. You already have the exercise in your email. I will also share the link of the source file again.